Do you recall the 90s classic, The Steve Harvey Show? If you do, then you'll surely remember Terri Vaughn, the talented actress who brought the unforgettable character, Lavita Elise Jenkins, to life.
Excuse me? You can't just go barging up in here. This is the principal's office.
In a recent interview with Comedy Hype, actress Terri Vaughn spilled some scalding revelations about Steve Harvey, suggesting that his overbearing attitude has remained a constant throughout his career.
He's always been cocky. Always. The conversations me, him, Wendy used to have on set, it's the same shit.
Vaughn reminisced about her time on The Steve Harvey Show, sharing that the conversations on set were often punctuated by Steve's unwavering cockiness.
He's still that same smart Steve. He's still that. But now you're also seeing another side of him that he never had to show me.
Steve Harvey's career has seen its share of highs and lows, with moments of immense success and relevance. However, Vaughn noted that his recent endeavors might not be resonating with audiences in the same way they once did. In any case, the talk show host Steve has long been rumored to possess a streak of meanness. In a 2022 episode of the Smartless podcast, Keenan Thompson shared an interesting anecdote about his interactions with Steve Harvey, hinting at yet another instance where Steve may not have been the most affable individual. During the podcast conversation with hosts Jason Bateman, Sean Hayes, and Will Arnett, the topic turned to Keenan's impersonation of Steve on the comedy scene. When Will Arnett mentioned that Steve was one of his favorite characters portrayed by Keenan, the Nickelodeon alumnus didn't hold back about the initial response from the judge. Keenan disclosed, "Steve Harvey didn't love it in the beginning. I know him, so he would definitely send messages through mutual friends or just through the press like, 'Tell the little fat boy to knock it off.'" Despite Steve's less than enthusiastic reception of the impersonation, Keenan didn't back down. In fact, he decided to expand on it, adapting it to suit whatever Steve Harvey was up to next, such as when he ventured into projects like Little Big Shots. Interestingly, Keenan had previously discussed Steve's reaction to his impersonation in an interview with The Hollywood Reporter. Steve wasn't overly excited about it in the beginning, but he grew to love it. "I don't do it out of any malice," he told the outlet in July 2020. "He told me in different ways, or he'd say it on his radio show, and then people would call me and be like, 'Hey, Steve Harvey's talking about you this morning on the radio.' And I'd be like, 'All right, well, I'm sure he'll settle down once he realizes that I'm not attacking him.'" As fans may know, Keenan first crossed paths with Steve when he appeared on Steve's sitcom, The Steve Harvey Show, where he played a character named Junior from 1996 to 1998. In 2017, Keenan was a guest on Steve's self-titled talk show, and they hashed it out with friendly banter. "You don't know the phone calls you put in my life," Steve told Keenan. "Man, stay Eve. Did you see Keenan last night?" "I didn't see Keenan last night." "Boy, he did your last night." Over the years, the duo has shared other tidbits about their interactions. "I just saw Steve when we were shooting Bring the Funny, and he was on the next stage doing Family Feud," Keenan said. "I sat down with him, and he was like, 'You better watch yourself.' I love Steve. I've known him for a super long time." The feeling seems mutual. "We all know Keenan's career is alive and well because of me," Steve said on Extra. "I want to kick his expletive, but it's pretty funny. I call Keenan all the time and say, 'Hey man, send me half your check because I'm half the reason you're here.'" However, if you think that's the extent of Steve's disturbing behavior, you are in for a rude shock. It appears that a recent memo he sent to his staff has finally brought this aspect of his character to light. And believe us when we say that ignorance might have been bliss. In his memo, Steve discarded any facade of kindness and drew a clear line of separation between himself and his colleagues, as if he considered them beneath him. The memo read as follows: "My security team will stop everyone from standing at my door or who have the intent to see or speak to me. I want all the ambushing to stop now. That includes TV staff. You must schedule an appointment. I promise you I will not entertain you in the hallway, and do not attempt to walk with me." Rather than offering an apology, Steve has chosen to double down in response to the criticism over the memo. He seems to believe that people seeking to converse with him are exploiting his position. Talk about arrogance. "I could not find a way to walk from the stage to my dressing room, to sit in my makeup chair, to walk from my dressing room to the stage, or to just sit and have lunch without somebody just walking in," Steve explained. "I've always had a policy where you can come and talk to me. So many people are great around here, but some of them just started taking advantage of it." Steve felt imprisoned by the presence of fans and people waiting for him, prompting him to write the letter. "I just didn't want to be in this prison anymore, where I had to be in this little room scared to go out and take a breath of fresh air without somebody approaching me. So I wrote the letter." Ultimately, he adamantly refused to acknowledge his wrongdoing or extend an apology. After years of seemingly being untouchable, Steve seems to believe that he can say or do anything without facing consequences. It's evident that Steve doesn't hold many people in high regard, as he has now prohibited anyone from approaching him at work. It's clear that he remains oblivious to his obnoxious and arrogant demeanor, showing no intent to rehabilitate his image. Some may argue that he is justified in wanting to avoid conversations at work, but what should not be forgotten is his long history of uncouth behavior. This recent incident is not the first time he has acted inappropriately and expected others to accept it. Regrettably, it seems that Steve Harvey has consistently exhibited hateful and bigoted tendencies. He does not shy away from making racist and homophobic remarks in public. Reportedly, Steve Harvey has displayed a lack of respect for gay men, suggesting that they are not real men in his eyes. His prejudice extends to Asians as well, despite his own status as a person of color. He even went as far as mocking a book titled "How to Date a White Woman, a Practical Guide for Asian Men," with a racially insensitive comment. Asian men understandably took offense at his cringe-worthy joke and called out his hypocrisy. Eddie Huang provided a fitting character analysis of Steve, highlighting his willingness to perpetuate the emasculation of Asian men for personal gain despite his platform to address issues in the Black community and his religious affiliations. Adding to the list of Steve Harvey's problematic attributes is his belief that all men desire only one thing from women, a perspective he has openly expressed. He has even admitted to lacking female friends, asserting that men who befriend women are merely waiting for the opportunity for intimacy. Furthermore, he has a track record of insulting and mocking his guests. Ernie Hudson, for instance, had a less than pleasant encounter with Steve Harvey, who made fun of Ernie's son due to his soft-spoken voice. Ernie recalled, "We had a great time. Even though Steve Harvey was annoying, my youngest son is very soft-spoken, and Steve was kind of making fun of his voice. I'm sitting there, trying not to show that you're getting annoyed. I will knock him out." It's become abundantly clear that Steve Harvey is not open to criticism or accountability. He seems to have a poor understanding of the concept of consent. When asked for advice on how to reject advances, Steve responded dismissively, suggesting that once a man is interested, there's no stopping him. Despite his controversial views and reliance on gender stereotypes for his comedy, Steve presents himself as a relationship expert offering advice to others. However, it's worth noting that his own romantic history is far from exemplary, marked by infidelity and an apparent lack of remorse. In fact, rumors that Marjorie had been involved in an affair with Steve's security erupted on Twitter a few weeks ago. Social media users circulated unsubstantiated reports that Marjorie was seeking a $200 million divorce settlement after cheating on Steve with the couple's bodyguard and chef. In any case, Steve has also faced some cheating allegations in the past. For context, Steve Harvey married his first wife, Marcia Harvey, in 1980. The two were married as the Family Feud host's comedy career began to blossom, which reportedly caused tension in their marriage. 14 years and 3 children later, the two divorced in 1994. But before their official split, the couple separated in 1990, the year before their third child was born. In addition to unpaid child support for Marcia and their children, it was also reported that Harvey began living with his future wife, Mary Shackelford, before the divorce was settled. He and Mary tied the knot in 1996, welcoming one son and later divorcing in 2005. Since their split, Shackelford has alleged that Harvey stepped out on her with his current wife, Marjorie. Additionally, Steve has strong opinions on atheists and their beliefs, often portraying himself as the authority on such matters. When discussing atheists, he has referred to them as idiots and questioned their moral values. Aside from this, Steve has also gone through legal battles with business owners. For instance, in 2015, it was reported that Steve Harvey had been sued by an aircraft company for $205,040 in unpaid alterations. The company, Business Aircraft Leasing Inc., said that Harvey originally wanted to lease out a Gulfstream jet, but requested $400,000 worth of customizations before doing so. These customizations included removing 2 seats and redecorating the plane's interior. When it came time to pay, Harvey fell short by refusing to finish paying off the aircraft after making half of the expected payments. Originally, the company argued that Harvey verbally promised to lease out the jet for $97,000 a month after the alterations were made. The case was brought against Harvey and One World Aviation, one of the many businesses he owns. The jet company eventually dropped its case against Harvey a year later, opting to make a business agreement with One World Aviation.
Well, an atheist is someone who doesn't quite believe that there is somebody out there, some God out there.
Well, then to me, you're an idiot.
In any case, fans have commented on Steve's mean streak, with some even saying they are disappointed. All the disrespect that he has shown others is somehow their fault. No, Steve. Look in the mirror. In conclusion, Steve Harvey's behavior and attitudes have come under scrutiny, with allegations of arrogance, insensitivity, and a history of problematic views. Whether he will reflect on these criticisms and seek to change remains to be seen. It's evident that his actions and statements have caused disappointment among fans and raised concerns about his character. While some may continue to support him, others are increasingly disillusioned by his behavior, lack of accountability, and seeming unwillingness to acknowledge the impact of his words and actions on others. This assessment of Steve Harvey's behavior serves as a reminder that public figures should be mindful of their actions and the influence they wield, as their words and behavior can have a profound impact on their reputation and the perceptions of their fans and the wider public. It is crucial for individuals in positions of influence to use their platforms responsibly and respectfully, fostering a more inclusive and respectful society.